Good afternoon, Internet. I'm your host, HazelPlace89. Welcome back to City Skylines 2. So I'm having to do a voiceover because OBS didn't record my microphone voice. So here we're in Blackshire again, episode 20 in City Skylines 2. This is just our standard over-the-top view of what we're doing here. I'm just showing you around the city. We're gonna work on this area today. Just some weird flyover stuff. I forgot what I was saying here whenever I was recording. But I want to kind of expand kind of down from this area that we're looking at, Shepherd's Glen here. So that's what we're going to end up doing. We do kind of sporadically throw in some density, some apartment buildings around here. But kind of start off with, like we're seeing here, just adding some alleyways, kind of more connections in this small area. But yeah, we kind of start off, and I want to talk a little bit about the economy patch that's coming very soon. Actually, it's coming. My hypothesis is I believe that the economy patch for Cities 2 is going to come this week. I've heard speculation that people were saying it's going to come on the 19th. I think that it will be. I think that's a valid estimate. We have a lot of stuff coming on the 20th as well for other games too. So the Thursdays typically are when a lot of gaming things happen in the industry. So I think it's a safe bet to say the 19th or the 20th of this week. Here in June, we're going to see all sorts of fun stuff happening. And here's the kicker though. It's kind of sad that this could be the last Blackshire episode. This could be the last one. If mods break, if we have to start fresh because of things breaking or the patch rendering our financial situation irreparable, then we will just have to start a new thing, which is totally fine. I mean, I'm not too upset to the proposition of having to start a new city. I've learned a ton. I've learned a bunch as we've been playing Blackshire, especially. I've been learning a lot on my own time as well. But it'll just be interesting to see how the patch works, how it'll affect our in progress cities that we have going on. So I went through and I added a few apartment blocks there, as you can see. So now I'm contemplating what I want to do next. Here throughout, I think we also upgrade a few of our commercial to mixed use to kind of satiate some of that commercial demand and some of that residential demand that we had. And I think we also plop down a few offices as well. Well, we zone offices, we don't plop. So that's what we're doing. I really like the way that the mixed use looks in the game. It looks very nice. It looks very good, in my opinion. And I am a fan of using that wherever I can. So that's what we're doing. We're just zoning in some smaller mixed use. Here we throw in an office, kind of opposite where the office is on the other side of the street. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good. Like, we've got a nice little height, nice bit of height kind of there in the central area. So this is, I believe, where we begin to examine where we want roads and things to go. And I'm going to expand the grid down here, right? And I know, people think the grid is boring, but it's efficient. The grid is very efficient. And then, so that's what I'm taking a look at. We come up here, we see this little nub of a street right here. And I determined that the angle is a little too extreme, so we kind of bring the angle back just a little bit, like so. And so there's that. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to come through and we're going to do that. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go into a time lapse here. And as I'm going to time lapse this. It's going to make a big chunk of the video. It's going to make the video a lot shorter, which is not exactly what I wanted. But zoning is not the most exciting thing. It's really not. So I'm going to time lapse this and I'll be back momentarily. Okay, so here's where we're at. We've zoned out our grid, right? So now I'm going to take some row homes, and we're going to do like 3 deep row home zoning, little cubes there. And you can see that I'm leaving the gap on the where the intersection is, and we know the reason for that. It's because we don't want the zoning to come in all funky. And now, once we've got that zoning coming in nice, we're going to go back in and zone on those intersections. And here I'm examining my work, and I'm thinking to myself, what can I do? Because I don't want the low density homes, the single family homes, to butt up right against the back sides of our, what are these called, row homes. So what I elect to do, we go and we find our paths after 1,000 years of searching, right? We go and find our paths, and then we place paths directly behind the row home, kind of making sure that we have that delineation there. And I think the end result ends up looking pretty good. So we have it like with all of the zoning or all of the snap twos turn on. The one that I was really leaning into was snap to the edges of the building, and I forgot which one of those that is. But basically, it connects the path. Well, it butts the path right up to where the edges of the backs of these row homes are, and it makes a nice even pathway for us. And honestly, and I say this later in the episode, I do remember saying this, but the microphone didn't pick it up. But paths are the unsung heroes of cities skylines detailing, both 1 and 2. And so now I'm here, I'm deciding, what do I want to do? Do I want London plains? What am I trying to figure out here? So we end up going with, I think we end up going with the linden trees. Yeah, we end up going with lindens. And we take our row, or our line tool, And we first see, okay, we're gonna make a line, but I determined that it's too big of a gap, so we want our gap smaller. We want more trees, so we lower our spacing from 20 meters to 10 meters, and then we come through here, and then we just make tree-lined paths, like they're fake tree-lined paths, because we don't have those yet, and hopefully we'll get those in the game soon. So we just come through all behind, and we line our paths that we've just made with these. And so we do this on both sides. I think I'm going to, it shouldn't be too much longer. I was going to time lapse it, but I don't think I'm going to. So we just do that. It kind of adds a little bit of character. A nice separation between I was having trouble with this one. A nice delineation between I'm also wiggling the mouse over here because I wanted to do something special with that, which I know that I do. So we'll take a look at that after a while. So we're going to, on this other side here, we're going to do our lines. We're going to just nudge up the trees to the paths, just kiss it. And then we're going to do this on the rest of these pathways here. But yeah, I think I'm talking here about some of the economy stuff, right? They're bringing in a couple new assets. I realized that I could actually do that, like just stretch the line across the street there. So I've talked about a little bit of, the economy patch. It's coming out soon. There is a chance that it could break the game, not because it's like a bad patch, but because mods, which is not entirely Colossal Order. That's not their fault. I mean, that's I'm playing with mods. Also, I realized here that I didn't choose the right zoning type, and so we delete our row homes, and then we choose the single family situations that we've got. But yeah, the economy patch is coming out. It's coming out soon. This could be and like I said, this could be the last episode or for the series. So it's episode 20, which is kind of delightful, and like if it has to end, it's ending out on a good number, 20. But yeah, it's cool. They're gonna be, from what I understand, they're bringing in a couple of free assets, which are delightful. The big rework of behind-the-scenes stuff for the game, for the simulation aspect of Cities 2, which isn't something that I really pay attention to. So long as I'm in the green, right? So long as I'm making money in game, I'm fine with it. I'm thankful for other content creators in the space who really pay more attention to it, to kind of recognize, oh, well, this is not the way that it needs to be. I am appreciative of folks like City Planner Plays, Biffa, Egg, all kinds of different fantastic creators that do that. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to find a spot where I'm trying to remember what I decided to do here. I can't remember if I go ahead and build out this park. Yeah, I go ahead and I build out the park here. And honestly, it ends up looking really good. We explore the different kinds of, park assets we have. And I was like, the hotel is too large for that space, and it wouldn't make sense in that area anyway. So what we do is we go through some of our parks, and I would love to see them add the ability to place parks on pathways. I think that makes sense. So we look at our kind of like the sport parks, medium style parks, not the hugest parks that we have, but so here's what we do. We come through and we find this area. It's a nice little space. So we come through and we add roads, add little alleyways and things of that nature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, we're going to add the alleyways in the design, and I come down here and I want this to be a fun little angled piece, because why not? It'll add character. But I felt like the alley was too close to the road, kind of to the right there. What is it, Amity Street? Yeah. So it was too close, so I backed that off, and now I start finding park assets and placing them down. We get a outdoor gym, we put it in a skate park, and it's just a fun little asset. I would work out at this gym. It's just so nice. So we have those, and then I think we grab a couple more. I want to say we grab a basketball court, Yes, we grab the basketball court, we place it kind of there, and you can see the shapes are coming in. Shapes are quite nice to look at. A nice big skate park, and then I still feel like I need to add a little something. So I come to the smaller parks, and then I'm looking around, what can we do? And I think I decide on the small playground. Yeah, we decide on the small playground. We park it on the other side of Dean Lane there, where we're kind of finagling it. And so for the park assets, they're all done, but because this is an alleyway, this is going to be like kind of a bigger, more prominent park. We get a parking lot, no pun intended, and then we do that. We just place a parking lot down, and I think one parking lot there is totally fine for us for now. And then we come through with our bulldozing tool, and I realize that we can remove things like fences and the little gate situation in the center. But I don't want to remove fences, and I debated with myself a little bit. Do I want to remove the fence and add my own, or do I want to leave it? And ultimately, I decided that we're just going to leave the fence there. Because on the one hand, it makes sense. Keep people safe outside, out of the parking lot. We don't want kiddos running, if they have to catch like a basketball or something. We don't want them to have to like run where cars are going to be. So there's that. So we have the backbone, we have the spine, the skeleton of the park kind of laid out, right? So we're just taking an inventory, just taking a look. And I think what we do now is we go here, we grab our grass surface, we use the fancy grass surface, and then we draw a little parallelogram to get the thing down, and then we right click it and break it. But that's fine. We add the grass texture underneath all of our parts, and it ends up looking quite good, if I may say so myself. But we kind of messed up there. So what I did is I just went through and I dragged it out. So what's so great about this surface painter, which is essentially all it is that you have a little, it's like your district tool or your industry areas tool in this game. You just click and drag, and it's so great. And so I didn't really worry about where I didn't want the grass, and that kind of comes back to bite me a little bit later when I want to add a second surface. But I didn't end up doing it, so which is fine. And so we have that nice texture, and it looks great. But we come through here again with our path tool. We turn off all of our snap tools, and we turn on our continuous curve, or our complex curve, whichever one that is. And then we just draw paths, right? And I think it kind of goes to show one of two things, or a couple things really. The detailing into these two, it's still a little sparse. I miss so much like the grass textures or the grass assets from Cities 1, like the big luscious poof of grass like that you could place down like it's a tree. It's hard to explain, but you know what I'm saying. I miss that. I think there are lots of great areas where you could do that. And then I look for my favorite thing, a gazebo, and then we place the gazebo on this corner over here, and I think it looks great. And then I'm wondering to myself as I'm doing this, what can we do to add a little bit of spice and flavor? Because I don't want to necessarily, this is where I tried to add the forestry surface underneath it, but it says that I can't because we've already placed the surface there, and I don't feel like breaking the whole thing to add that. So all we end up going with, we'll just go back to our detailing, landscaping menu. Not there, bro. There we go. We go to our landscaping menu, to the vegetation, and we just pick the flower bush out. And then we just make a little arc behind it. Just line a few manually placed flower bushes. And I think it works. It kind of provides that separation that I was kind of wanting. But it still looks pretty good. And then we come through and we just place a bunch of bushes, a bunch of trees manually. We start out with smaller bushes, and I'm deciding whether I want to line the path or not, like fully like use the little squiggly tools to line the paths. And ultimately you can see that I don't do that. And sometimes I think it's okay to have spontaneity, but there's a lot of spontaneity in the city, to be honest. There's a lot going on. So we do that. We transition from the smaller bushes, we drop in some oak trees, and then we grab some spruce, some like larger pine trees, conifers over here. So here's my reason for that. I love the way the autumn looks, and I know that not everybody does, but I love the way the autumn looks in the city, the way fall season kind of happens. And I love having, in fall, I love having like the orange, the green, the gold trees. But I also love having like the deep evergreen conifers still holding their color. So we have that nice differentiation of colors. And here I used the European tree menu to get the alders, because I love the alders. I think the alders and the oaks are two of my favorite trees in cities too. And here we can see that our vegetation is about done. And so now what I want to do is, I think next we go and we look for park benches. We look for park benches, and we choose the fancier of the ones we have available to us. They have the like the copper gold or copper green arms rests and stuff. And so I just place a few of those down, like so. And then there's one in which I say, okay, well, I think it's this one right here. I'm like, I want to place it this way, and then I look and I was like, well, that's like looking directly into people's houses. Maybe not. That'd be kind of creepy. So I turned it the other direction, and then I realized, I mean, it probably doesn't matter. So I place one kind of looking into people's houses, but you know how it is. So we have that going for us, which is nice. We place a few of these. I tried not to overdo it, but I tried to make it like as comfortable, I guess, as possible, wherein, you know, if people don't want to walk all over the place, they can just pop a squat and have a seat in these park benches. And so now I'm looking for garbage cans, but I don't know in the menu if it's garbage can or garbage bin or whatever. And I make a funny joke that's just kind of lost on me now because the mic didn't pick it up. Garbage can, more like garbage can't, because they're not under garbage can, so they're under trash bins instead. Trash can 01 is the one that I end up going for. It's got like the covering sort of, and I debate whether or not to place it directly next to the park benches or not, and I elected to not to until later. And this one is a little superfluous because like on the asset itself, on the gym asset, there's a trash can, so I kind of place them where I think they would make sense, so like corners. And here's where I'm like, you know what, it doesn't matter, it's a park bench. So I place a park bench kind of near-ish to a couple of I place the trash cans near-ish to a couple of our park benches, which is just the way that the cookie crumbles. My lore is that one guy put them farther away, but a second guy was like, no, and then he put them closer to the park benches. So there's that. And so I kind of finish out here just zoning our 3x3 squares in our beloved grid that everybody loves and nobody dislikes. And then we unlock our painter mansion, and I went back and forth. I was like, do I want to put this in now or do I want to wait? Because it is a nice asset. It's a little big an asset, but I kind of ignore it for now, but it's still weighing on my mind. So I kind of get the zoning around the park in first with our low density, and as you can see, it's going quite swimmingly. But yeah, I like this zoning. I like the zoning style, and then I messed that up, so I have to delete it. And then I get confused, like, why is it not deleting? And then I realized that I had the thing on for deleting the little situations from the parking lot, so I figured that out. So I like this zoning because it's versatile, it makes sense, it's easy, and like honestly, it doesn't look that bad. It just doesn't, in my opinion. And then I come through like so, and then I expand Shepherd's Glen to kind of span the area that we're building in. And I wish that districts were a little more, that had a little more oomph to them, if that makes any sense. And here's where I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to place down the unique we just unlocked. And I ultimately don't end up doing it because I decide that I want it to be like in an area of density. So we don't place the painter mansion out just yet. But yeah, the districts I like the districts. I like that you have the ability to, you know, services per district kind of situation. Like Shepherd's Glen could realistically have its own fire department, its own police department, its own medical center, its own schools. And you don't have to share that throughout the whole city. And I think with a larger city, that would make more sense. But Blackshire is not a sprawling metropolis yet. Right? We don't need it. And I'm trying to figure out, here's where I'm trying to look at that was our city services situation, because as you can see, we have things on fire, we have crime, all sorts of fun stuff that we're going to need to take a look at some point, given the city still exists after a while. So I'm just examining these guys. They're on fire, which is very unfortunate. And the police and the fire department is taking their time getting there. But I guess they have other things that they want to deal with. So I think here I'm looking at what I want to do in the way of like density. But yeah, I think we're coming about to the end of the episode, and I just want to like say that I'm very, very appreciative of everyone's viewership. I appreciate you all so much. We hit 70 subscribers not too long ago, earlier in the week. I think a couple days ago, and it's just so humbling. It really is. And I know that I say that a lot, and I don't want it to just sound disingenuous. It does mean a ton. It really does. And I think here I'm just deciding at some point, provided the city still exists, we're going to beautify the roads and stuff. And I come up and I look at some of our mixed use situation. I add some here, I upgrade some here, I remove that, and I think that's a house. I want the house gone, so I delete the house. We remove the zoning, and then we add a little block there. So we just finish out here, upgrading some of our lower stuff to mixed use. And I'm deciding whether or not, in my mind, as I'm watching everything burn down and all of the crime and stuff, I notice up in the kind of upper left there, and I don't see it yet, but now looking back, I'm like, what is that? Skyscrapers, right? We have high density stuff, and I notice it at this moment. We have skyscrapers, we have those assets unlocked for that zoning type unlocked, but I don't want it. So we remove that, we delete them all, and then we put them back in. Hopefully they won't do that. I come over here, and then I kind of make this a little area. We add some zoning of various types to round out the episode. But honestly, I'm looking forward to the Economy 2.0 patch. I really am. I'm looking forward to the changes, to see how different the game plays. We're about 8 months out from launch, but I'm just so thankful that they've, Colossal Order and Paradox, haven't given up on the game. The game is getting into a much better spot, and you know, patience is something that we need to maintain. We need to maintain positivity with our outlooks on Cities 2, but I think they're going in the right direction. I'm thankful for all that they have done and all that they're doing for the life cycle of the game. And you know, looking throughout Blackshire, looking throughout what we've done, all that we've learned, the community that we're growing, having made several new friends in the content creator space for City Skylines 2, it is so great, and it means a ton. But with all that being said, I'm looking forward to the new patch, and I want to thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for your likes, your comments, your subscribes. It all means a ton. With all that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.